just love the next person. Because when you have love in your heart, I think it shows up in everything you do.
A conversation is one of the ways we get to know and understand each other. When faced with division, it's one of the ways to uplift unity. The Aiken Department of Public Safety and members of the community they serve came together for a conversation based around 6 questions that get to the heart of who they are, what they're passionate about, and what they hope for. This is Uplift Unity, presented by the Aiken Department of Public Safety.
My name is Margaret Moore. I'm from Trenton, South Carolina, and I am currently a financial crimes investigator with the Aiken Department of Public Safety.
Hello, I'm Sam Erb. I'm from Aiken, South Carolina. I used to be in the restaurant industry, and now I am semi-retired.
So Sam, tell me your story.
Well, I was born and raised in eastern Pennsylvania. I moved to Aiken when I was 14 years old. And I went through schools here in Aiken, middle school, high school, started college, went to the main university, it's USC, and always had been in the restaurant business, always loved cooking. And so I worked in restaurants and here in Aiken. And then in 1981, my parents decided to back me with my persuasion, and I opened a restaurant in 1981. And I had that restaurant for 32 years. It was in the alley right here in Aiken, and I was the first business in Aiken, in the alley. And so people thought I was crazy to open in the alley, and now it's a very popular area and so forth and so on. So in 2013, I sold the restaurant, and I've been semi-retired. I own properties, I own homes that I rent, and I own some commercial properties. I was married in 1984, and I love to golf, I love to boat, I love to fish. I'm enjoying life. What is your story?
Well, my story starts in, I was born and raised in Edgefield County, South Carolina. After graduating high school, I went in the United States Navy. When I left the Navy, I came back home. I had a dad issue. My dad was diagnosed with some medical issues, so I felt like I needed to be closer to home. Came to work for Aiken Public Safety. I've been here 23 years. That's a long time.
It is.
And I started out as a dispatcher. That was way too stressful, so I decided to become a patrol officer, firefighter, and did that for 10 years. And I've been in investigations for 10 years. Some of the things I like to do is I love to travel. I am a part of the American Legion Post 212 on Hampton Avenue, and I am also the secretary for Share Sisters Only Club, which is a civic organization, and we kind of cater to women and young girls. We do like a camp during the summer for young girls. We do several empowerment classes. We do scholarships for young girls going off to college. And I recently ventured out and became an independent paparazzi consultant where I sell jewelry. So that's me.
Is there a moment in your past that had a significant impact on shaping who you are today?
There are a lot of moments from my past, but I think the biggest thing that shaped me to be the person that I am is growing up with my family and learning that because I can do, I should do. I shouldn't sit back and wait for somebody to do for me. If I could be a service to somebody else, that's what I need to do. I don't need to just, sit back and wait for somebody else to do it when I can do it. So for me, it's growing up in a family that was very involved with each other and being supportive, and that's carried on into my life. That's the reason I went in the military. I felt like I needed to serve my country, and I came to work here because I felt like I needed to serve the community that I live in. So I think it's just my whole childhood growing up and learning that.
Me as well. We're very close family. I had both sets of my grandparents, and I had great aunts that were part of my life. But one thing particular that sticks out to me, and my cousin was a few years older than I was, and I guess I was probably 11 or 12, and I was riding around in his truck with him, his vehicle, and not thinking about it, I finished my bottle of Coke and I tossed it out the window. And he hauled off and hit me in the chest so hard, I thought I was losing my breath. And with that, he said, "Don't you ever litter." And I've thought about that, and that has stuck with me all my life. I don't believe in litter. I think it's awful to go and drive around this beautiful town, especially, but anywhere in the United States, and see litter. And that is just one thing that stuck with me. And, there's a lot of things I could have said about that, but that one thing has stuck with me, and it made an impact in my life. Is there something you've dreamed of doing for a long time? If so, why haven't you done it?
I dream about doing a lot of stuff. I'm
not available.
Yeah. I'm adventurous, so I like a lot of different things. I would love to travel all over the world. Go to every country and just experience that culture and become a part of that. I just think that would be great because it just reminds me that people are different and that they do things different ways doesn't mean it's wrong. And the way I do things, doesn't mean that it's always right. So I just want to do that and just experience other people, and I think it'll help me understand people and why they do things the way they do. So, what about you?
I love the water. I love to boat. And I grew up sailing on the Chesapeake Bay. And I still own a sailboat today. I own a motorboat too, but I love to sail. There's nothing like sailing with no engine on, no noise, just the sound of the water hitting the hull of the boat. And I would just love to be able to sail to different destinations throughout the world. And again, see people's culture, see things that you don't see every day, And I haven't done it because I have other obligations. I have responsibilities. Life got in the way. That
seems to do that a lot.
It does. But maybe one day. Maybe one day.
If you asked for a miracle, what would it be and why?
I wish we could bridge the gap of misunderstanding and complacency. Come together as a community to encourage unity, and it can start right here in Aiken, South Carolina. There's just a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of confusion, a lot of rift that goes on in this world today. It's unnecessary.
Absolutely.
That's my miracle.
Okay.
How about yours? Do you have a miracle?
I do have a miracle. My miracle, and it is something I pray for every night and every morning.
I'm not available.
I am looking for a husband. But my miracle would be that everybody would just love the next person. Because when you have love in your heart, I think it shows up in everything you do.
I agree.
So
with that.
you will, see someone in need and help them. You would, always try to do the right thing. And I just think that's what we as a race, the human race, need to get back to. And that's just loving each other. And, mom and dad, grandpa, grandma, they taught us a lot of things. They did things old school, as we call it, but some of that old school stuff we need to bring back.
I agree.
The morals and the standards, and holding people accountable for their actions. I just think that needs to come back. And I feel that the only way they can do it is you gotta have love. You gotta be able to love more than self. You gotta love, everybody.
When you think about all the important issues facing our country, is there one you think about the most? If so, why and what would you like to see done about it?
Well, the biggest thing right now is this COVID-19. We have got to figure out how to get a handle on this, because I understand people not wanting to stay at home and wanting to get out and do different things, but that's fine and good because you're healthy. And the younger people with no health issues, they're younger, they want to be with their friends. I remember how I was when I was in my 20s. That's what we did. We had a good time. We hung out with friends and things like, and family. And now you can't do that because my biggest thing is I would hate to be out in a huge crowd hanging out and not taking any precautions and bring something back home to my mother or one of my family members or even my friends. This COVID-19 really hits home for me because in April my grandmother passed away. She did not have COVID. She passed away because she had a blood clot. And she had been saying that she had a lot of pressure in her chest, but she was so afraid of COVID, she wouldn't come out of her room. If you came to the house, you had to talk to her from the door. She was just so afraid of COVID that she wouldn't go out. So to me, COVID-19 has affected me because I feel like I lost my grandmother not to the disease, but because of the disease. So I think we need to, if we can make that disappear, I understand that, there's a lot of other sickness and ailments and things like that, but it just seems like this particular disease, nobody knows that much about it to figure out how to make it stop.
Me, and I've thought about this quite often, but I would really like to see our Constitution upheld. I really did. I think our country is going in the wrong direction. And how to fix that is have peaceful assembly. You and I are sitting here today talking, and peacefully. That can happen in Washington, and it needs to happen.
Absolutely.
In Washington.
Absolutely.
And we live in Aiken, and Aiken's a great town.
Yes, it is.
Chief told me the other day, he said, I'm just blessed that I'm in Aiken, South Carolina. And I'm glad for him that he's in Aiken. He could very easily be in another part of this country. And again, this can all start locally and grow widespread. But you mentioned earlier about old school. That needs to be coming back.
A lot of it, I feel a lot of it needs to also. I mean, because I think we have become more of an I generation than a we.
Correct.
Meaning we,
Correct.
it's all about what's going to benefit me.
Yep.
You know, me moving up, me doing better, not, looking at my whole community and bringing everybody up together. I just think that has disappeared, and it definitely needs to come back.
I was always told, and I always told my employees this, there's no I in team.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Oh, goodness.
What's the most surprising thing that someone has ever done for you?
Done for me. I would have to say one of my Navy friends, we were close when we were in the Navy, kept in contact when I got out a little bit, and then we kind of parted ways, and probably about 10 years in between, we reconnected. And she had a son, and he was probably at this time entering high school. And she came to me and she said, Margaret, I know this is late in life to ask you this, but I would like to know if you would be my son's godmother.
Oh, yeah.
And I just was, because I don't have any children, I'm not married, even though he was old enough to, take care of himself, it was just, she cared enough to think that I would be a great role model for her son if something happened to her and her husband. And that just meant a lot to me. Yeah. And this past weekend I just saw him marry the love of his life. So it was great. So that is the most surprising thing for somebody other than family that I grew up with and things like that. Somebody that I met, lost contact, and we're back like nothing ever happened.
Right.
And she would trust me to raise her child if something happened to us. So that to me was surprising.
That's special.
Yes, very much. So let's hear about Sam.
Well, I was always taught to earn what you want. And I always did. I mean, I've worked since I was 8 years old. Well, when my feet hit the tractor pedals and I could go cut grass for my grandfather, that's what I did. And if I wanted a bicycle, I wasn't given a bicycle. I bought it. When I wanted a mini bike, I earned money and I went and got a mini bike. When we moved to Aiken, like I said, I was 14. I was flabbergasted to find out I could get my license at 15. And I had money saved up. And I wanted a car. I wanted a truck. And I had the money, and I went and bought myself a 1964 Ford Falcon Ranchero. And I loved that little truck. I pulled it in the garage at Dad and Mom's house. I painted it. I cleaned it. I did all kinds of stuff to that truck. And my next thing was to buy tires for it. I needed tires. But I'd spent all my money on the truck. That Christmas, I still remember this day. I came down the steps and here were 4 tires stacked up with chrome wheels on them, baby moon hubcaps.
Ooh.
I was in heaven. And honestly, that's the first big thing that was given to me, other than a shirt or a pair of pants, you know. But that surprised me because it came from my parents that instilled in me, if you want something, you have to earn it. And that's just one of those things that have stuck with me.
For me, I think, communication is the key. And a lot of people miss that because I can say, I don't like the color of those shoes. And what you heard was, I don't like your shoes.
Right.
So now it's personal. And it's really not. It's just, I express what I don't like. But I will follow that up with, do you think they come in green? That's my favorite color. So I think if we don't communicate with each other, then we're never going to understand the other person or somebody else's thought process or why they feel the way they feel. Like I used to hear all the time, you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes before you start, judging them. And
You never know how someone's going to feel unless you talk. Now you've never been married. I've been married for a while, 30-some years.
oh, wow.
And when there's differences, you got to talk them out.
And if you don't communicate, what people tend to do is run.
Correct.
And when you run, you solve nothing.
Right.
You take all this that you haven't dealt with and you take it to the next place or person, and it doesn't change, and you wonder why.
I don't know if you read Dear Abby or not.
Ooh, I haven't read that in a while.
But Dear Abby, if you can read into some of those things that the letters, and there's a lack of communication, and she sometimes brings that out. You've got to talk it out. You've got to talk to each other.
Absolutely.
And problems are solved, differences are solved, and communication is the key in many aspects of our life. We are better together.
Absolutely. Better together. We are better together.
We hope you enjoyed that Uplift Unity conversation presented by the Aiken Department of Public Safety, and it inspires you to have your own. Don't forget to subscribe for more of Uplift Unity. Hit the notification bell too. Visit our shop at upliff.com to get your Uplift merch. And if you'd like to be on Uplift Unity, sign up at upliff.com. Thanks for watching.